born on the 20th of May, 1943, to the family of the late Mbukanma and late Madam Mbukanma at Obongpa, Aniocha North local government area of Delta State during the Second World War. Professor Mbukanma had his primary school education in the community primary school in Obongpa, having obtained first school leaving certificate. He left for Sapele for his secondary school education at Abbott College, Sapele. Although the college was registered for West African School Certificate examinations, the young Jude sat his London GCE ordinary level in 5 papers in 1963 and passed all at his sitting. And so, he did not have any need for West African School Certificate examination. In 1971, he sat for GCE advanced level of the University of London in economics and history. His hope was to pursue a degree in economics at the University of Ibadan, Nigeria's premier university. However, with the GCE ordinary and advanced level from London University, he decided to enroll for the undergraduate studies with the University of London, where in 1974 he got his first degree in philosophy, BA honors.
The book for Father Jude is the permanent voice of a preacher. Every publication is the permanent voice of the author. So whether the author is present or absent, he continues to speak. And that is why we deem it fit that this celebration cannot be complete without a publication.
Festschrift is a celebration of writings or writing feast. Writing feast or writing celebration used to honor someone, especially someone who has distinguished himself or herself in terms of contribution to knowledge or adding value to the lives of people. A lot has been said about Father Jude. I will not go back saying things about his profile. I want to go straight to speak about the book itself. The book is titled Moral Education, Sociopolitical Science and Religion in the Modern World. Moral Education, Sociopolitical Science and religion in the modern world. It is a book of 632 pages. It is divided into 3 sections. The first section has to do with religion and theology. And that first section has 11 chapters. The second section is titled Ethics and Education. That second section has 5 chapters. The third section is titled Sociopolitical Science, and that section has 9 chapters. So, if you add 11 to 5 to 9. Altogether, we have 25 chapters in this collection. Let me go ahead to give a synopsis, a compressed summary of what each of the chapters is about. In the first chapter, on religion and theology, Cyril Orji's article that is titled Jude Mbukanma and the Mystical Tradition, an Insider's View, focuses on Professor Jude Mbukanma and his writings. It notes that the honoree balances his commitment to the academy with his commitment to the church.
It is an immense honor and privilege to stand before you today as a co-chairman or co-launcher of this remarkable event, celebrating the life and contributions of a very extraordinary man, our dear Reverend Father, Professor Jude Mbukanma OP. This afternoon we gather to launch a Festschrift in honor of his profound intellectual legacy and to mark a truly extraordinary milestone, 50 years of dedication as a Dominican scholar. Father Mbukanma's life and work embody the very essence of the Dominican tradition, a relentless pursuit of truth, a commitment to the highest ethical standards, and a profound dedication to intellectual and spiritual formation. His contributions as a professor of ethics and philosophy of religion have left an indelible mark on generations of students, as well as scholars who have passed through the Dominican Institute over the years, and of course now the Dominican University, and of course so many others from different institutes all over the country who have passed through the Dominican Institute in their years of study. This Festschrift, crafted by many of his colleagues and admirers, is not merely a book. It is a testament to the transformative power of his ideas, his mentorship, and his unwavering dedication to the intersection of faith, reason, and morality.
I am here representing members of the community. I want to take a copy of this book with a little sum of 25,000 naira. Thank you very much.
I want to say that Father Jude is a brother, is a father, is a friend, is all of my family. He baptized all my children, and they all know me. We are related through the mother's side. He is a brother of both. Please permit me to launch modestly this wonderful book with the sum of 25,000 naira on behalf of family. We have here with us the friends of Dominicans launching this book with a sum of 500,000 naira.
Reverend Father Prof. Jude Mbukanma OP, who is the first of our department to be the Prof we celebrate today in a great way and a model. I stand here to thank him for being an icon and remaining one, and to have paved the way for all of us, either in the faith, in religion, in ethics, in education, and as a model of what it means to be a member of the society and one who inspires the young. So on behalf of my department and our department, Philosophy and Religious Studies, we contribute a modest sum, which is a long way to help. We are still growing, but we hope that it will maybe add something to what is being done today. And I call on the members of this department who would wish to support also our modest sum. You will hear from us And in fact, we want to celebrate him. He has edified us and he keeps edifying those growing and those who have been groomed in that department. The lay, the faithful, the priests, and the religious alike. So we thank him and we thank God for this day. This is like a potpourri, not just because the MC said it, but because of the content. You wouldn't miss out by not buying it. Please launch it and take it home. It is going to make a difference in your life and in the life of your children. Thank you.
Professor, Reverend Jude O. We go a long way because me and he have been together for a very long way, and we can't forget ourselves. I say I cannot do without coming here today. I have to be here. So this lunch is fun. I'm most happy because I spent a few of days from him to all these days. And he has been doing it, but this one is a greater one. So I don't want to talk much at that this way. I love the book with Preachers Celebrates.
I thank you very much. I just said to Rebecca, when somebody died and the casket is on the floor, that's the time we do these things of this kind. But we're really now what we did it, which is wisdom. May God bless all of you. Amen. May God support your family. Amen. May God forgive and defend you. Amen. May we come to rejoice by His all the days of our life.
Very impressed by the arrangement to celebrate somebody when he's still alive, because we have a customary way of doing this. We celebrate the dead and they do not participate in our celebration. But to celebrate the living, is something that is unique and very wonderful. It gives the opportunity to this person who is being honored to participate in the celebration. This is something very good. Not to wait until the person is dead before you begin to celebrate the person. So that is my impression. The small pamphlet that they are distributing free of charge now is where I wrote it, why and how I started writing. It's precisely because in the 60s, when I was a legionary, anytime we went to house-to-house visitation, the Jehovah's Witness will be asking us, all these things you people in the Catholic Church believe, is it in the Bible? They challenge the Catholic doctrine. So when I entered the Dominican order, I decided to answer Jehovah's Witness. And yes, that whatever we believe in the Catholic Church, and whatever we are practicing, is in the Bible. That's the whole point of the book, is it in the Bible. So that's how that title came. And that is what became the first book I wrote in about 1970 or between 70 and 71. But was published 1976 after my ordination. You know, the kind of life we are called to live, religious and Christian life, demands a very, very serious discipline, living your life totally different from the way the people in the world are living it. It's not without reason that Romans chapter 12 verse 2 says, don't conform to the standard of the world. If I'm giving the opportunity to talk to the youth, I'll tell them, be very careful of the world. There are three enemies that oppose our vocation, the world, the flesh, and the devil. These are three enemies which they must fight with discipline. They have to discipline and distance themselves from the world, not to conform to the standard of the world. And if anybody is able to fight the world, the values, the charms and superficialities of the world, and put them under the feet, the person is able to fight the flesh, discipline the flesh, and fight the devil with prayer, then the person will be able to be victorious. I think one of my worries about people who don't know the truth about reality. There's such a confusion, and there are enemies of the truth. So I want to make it very clear to people where the truth is. Truth is the motive behind it all. Because there are people who want to propagate error and sin and cause confusion in society, maybe out of ignorance. Maybe they are not doing it deliberately, but at the same time they are doing it and is harming humanity. Therefore, we want to save the humanity from error, from Satan, from sin. That is what is my motive. If I knew the great importance of writing, I would have started very early, even back in my village, to be jotting down some of the teachings and experiences, some of the moral values and that we have in our traditional morality. I would have started earlier before now. So, but it's not late. So the time I got into scholarship was also appropriate. So that is it. So I would tell everybody who wants to live this kind of life to be mindful of the experiences they are having, to be jotting them down. Because human memory is very weak. Very soon we begin to forget many things. When you put them into writing, then you immortalize them. Error and sin destroys. If anybody wants to prosperity, they should go on. They should be ethical. They should be virtuous. It is the way to prosperity, and God will bless the person. You don't achieve greatness through doing evil. You don't do that. It will backfire. So if I'm advising people who are in pursuit of the charms and superficialities of life and trample on the commandments of God, I would say, well, you are trying to do something that will harm you. Try to live the right sort of life. Try to be moral. Try to be virtuous. It is then God will listen to you and bless you.
Our goal is first of all to celebrate excellence, and that is what motivated us to set up the team, the editorial team, which is an ongoing editorial team, because this is not our first in the offer. So we decided to introduce a new way of celebrating scholarship in Nigeria, because many people will have different events to celebrate scholars, but this is one of the unique ways of celebrating scholars globally. And we want to reintroduce it into Nigerian education system. That is our goal, our auxiliary goal, that makes us to say, okay, he is a scholar, and 50 years of his scholarship is enough milestone to celebrate, because it's a jubilee. So we decided to say, okay, for him as a person, he believes that the only way to make your speech permanent is to publish it. He said the permanent voice of a preacher or a writer or a scholar is his writings. So he believes that writing has a way of immortalizing scholarship. And that is why we say we cannot celebrate an author without authoring a book in his honor. We gather different articles, we call for papers from different disciplines, which has bearing with his own interest. His interest ranges from theology, philosophy, mysticism, even a charismatic system. He's also into contemplative system. He's also into science. He interrogates science, current discoveries in science. He's very deep in science. In fact, at the heat of COVID, he was also writing to interrogate the discourse on COVID. All the COVID measures that were put in place, he was interrogating them point by point, showing that as a scholar, his eye is on science, because he's very deep in logic. And he believes that logic is the foundation of intellectual life. So he writes on logic, logic of prayer, logic of anything you can think of, and epistemology, which is the study of knowledge itself, is one of his mainstay. He's very deep in phenomenological way of learning. He believes that if you want to approach a mystery or a deep reality, you need to approach it phenomenologically. And one of the articles resonates with it, and I'm very happy that the article relates with the 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 problem of corruption in Nigeria and brought the idea of nominal and phenomenal engagement in studying corruption, so that we'll not be addressing the phenomena of corruption without looking at the noumena of corruption. So his work is also soaked in mystical themes. He is very deep in prayer, and that is why the order gave him an assignment to mentor the contemplative sisters. That is one of the arms of the Dominican family. So the Dominican nuns in Ilori, he midwifed the foundation, accompanied them, and got them to the point of integration into the Dominican family, which is not a small assignment. That assignment means he has to be in touch with Rome on regular basis, both the Dominican order in Rome, which is 800 years plus, so which very deep in intellectual tradition and also mystical tradition. So he balances prayer and study. That is what makes him unique. So he's not just a scholar, he's also deeply religious. And he brings his scholarship into his religion and brings his religion into his scholarship. So there is a kind of intermingling without arriving at what we call syncretism, but he had a synthesis, so which makes his own combination very unique. You can still recognize the distinct parts, but they are playing together. And that's what makes his work very solid and very attractive. He says he doesn't write for scholars because he wants everybody to read his work. So he makes sure he simplifies, and that's the way the mystics speak. They speak the language of everyday, but they make it to assume a new level of understanding. They don't use high-sounding vocabularies. If you check many of his titles, he makes sure that the titles are intelligible to the street woman and men on the road. Is it in the Bible is one of them.
Essentially, we have been nursing this idea for quite some time, but it was about a year ago that we now decided to set it into motion. And the aim is to celebrate Professor Mbukanma because of his balanced spirituality and his interest in study, prayer and study, which marks our Dominican life. So essentially, this is to celebrate the gift of human intellect, to celebrate his 50 years as a Dominican scholar, because he has been studying and he has been involved in the intellectual life for 50 years. So this is to celebrate his contributions to scholarship for the past 50 years, half a century. I find in Father Jude, a mentor. The reason is that for us Dominicans, it is not just only to study, but to study and pray. And you have to balance these two things. Just as the preacher, Father Patrick, said during the homily at Mass, that paraphrasing Pope John Paul II, that prayer and study are the two wings with which the Dominican flies. Prayer and study. So both of them should be done in such a way that they balance each other. So in the priest, Father Mbukanma, that we celebrate today, we see these two things, at a balanced position. And that is an aspect of him that I so much admire. That he is not just a scholar, but he's also one whose study touches his spiritual life, or whose spiritual life also touches his study. In fact, maybe it's the point, I have to add this too, that in the church today, the church is gradually losing spiritual masters. And by spiritual masters, I mean men and women who are both spiritual and knowledgeable. Because if you don't have those two aspects, you will not be able to lead one in the spiritual life. What we often find today is that those who are good up here don't have the spirituality. And with that, what they say will not be convincing enough. Or those who have that spiritual side don't have the intellectual aspect. So with that, when you hear them speak, you say, oh, no, please, off the mic. So, but for you to lead a soul, you must be balanced in the spiritual aspect, must also be well knowledge. In fact, as Dominicans, we should be men and women of deep spirituality, prayer and study. Because it is only when these two things are balanced that we'll be able to lead the soul. So the man that we celebrate today, Father Mbukanma, is one whose life reflects this reality: balanced spirituality and balanced intellectual life.
Mrs. Teresa Oko, the Vice President of this Honorable Society, Otuezindo, and these are my members, few of my members. This is Mrs. Mafiana, Mrs. Ofili, Mrs. Okude, Mrs. Dunku, Mrs. Uzawulu, Mrs. Anya, Mrs. Emodi, and Mrs. G. Professor Father Jude is a Catholic priest, and most of us here are Catholics, and our president happens to be worships where Father celebrates his mass. That is in Dominican society, Dominican community. As he celebrates his 50 years as a scholar, I wish him more progress, and I wish him good luck, and I wish him long life, because he's fairly old now. But I pray that God will give him good health, long life, to live more and to write more books, because we know that he writes.
Today is a great day for all of us, especially with the Afemans Isakos. No, Father Jude, and the yearly that name since I came to Ibadan. Let's say 60 years ago. I really appreciate God today for seeing him one-on-one today. That's the name and the hearing of 60 years ago. How would I meet this Reverend Father, Professor Jude? How would I see him? I'm very, very happy today to see him. So I describe him as a hobo, a man who believes in culture, not only the religion way, believe in culture. That yes, even in church there is a religion, there's a culture inside the church. So we believe, as God will be guiding him, protecting him, God will give him more knowledge, more understanding, more life and prosperity.
Amen.